Kumusta? Naka-receive ako ng question from Mike and he was asking if tunnel vent poultry farms were profitable, then how come there's a lot of them being sold online right now? It's a great question and I thought it deserves its own video, so thank you, Mike. I contacted these Facebook sellers. I was not surprised when I learned that they're not really the owners but sales agents. And so getting information was a lot tougher than I thought. I found out that most of these farms were constructed about 5 years ago. Most of them are still under loan. And the owners wanted to sell because they are either migrating or retiring. No matter the reason they have for selling it, I just simply refuse to believe that they would sell an income generating business just so they could have liquid cash. And so I had to investigate a little bit more. I had to ask my father, who is a veterinarian, and he has been in the poultry industry for about 25 years now. And remember how Mike said that he heard a lot of horror stories? Well, this is what I found out. Well, basically, there's three reasons why poultry farms are being resold right now. First is that the local government units have been suspending these farms with fly problems. Second is with the loans. And third is the pandemic effects. Fly infested poultry farms were suspended for a few grows until they addressed the problem. Even worse is that some farms that didn't have fly problems were also shut down because it was like a blanket solution to this fly problem, which is not the actual solution, and it's affecting everyone. And even if they were allowed to operate, then these government units would impose some ridiculous regulations such as toll fees and profit sharing. They basically want to make money off of your business. Most of the farms are also loan assisted and have an ongoing payment. The problem is that most of the loans submitted had an inflated project cost, often by up to about 25%. This is so that the investors could get a few more out of the loan. The problem is that when the farm doesn't perform well, then they get stuck and they have problem paying off their amortization. What's even worse is if the loan proceeds went to a different kind of investment such as a new car or a house renovation. We've also seen the prices of input materials go up, from feeds not having the same quality to diesel price hikes. And because a lot of broiler farms were suspended, then we had a surplus of day-old chicks that were rolled over, and that also posed some issues with regards to mortality and weight gain. And that's why performance dropped in a few areas in the country as well. And so, with all these problems, why would anyone get into poultry farming right now? Well, there's one word: demand. Demand for chicken is steadily increasing during the past couple of years and actually has surpassed pork as the number one source of protein. Every fast food restaurant, every birthday party, every household, there's lechong manoks everywhere, there's fried chicken everywhere. It's not slowing down. The price of chicken has been very good to farmers, and integrators have been more aggressive in recruiting contract growers because there's so much demand and capacity to fill up. With all these information, there's one last thing that I want to emphasize. Tunnel vent is a method of raising poultry, and contract growing is the business. It just so happens that in order to be a contract grower, you need to be a tunnel vent system. But if you are an independent farmer, you could still use tunnel vent system. And so if you were to put your life savings into a business, I'm not a financial advisor, but if you don't have a prior experience in raising birds, then it would take some time. Just like anything else, there's learning curve to it. The equipment are there to automate and optimize, but it's all according to the grower how the farm will run. Approaching it from a business perspective, it is a very high capital industry to get into, especially for a first timer. If I was an investor, I would prefer if there was a smaller bird capacity tunnel vent house. Maybe something like a 10,000 bird capacity. So it's not too big right away, and I could get used to the flow of operations, get used to the equipment, learn about the my area where my farm is. Also, secondhand buildings need a thorough inspection from its roofing, insulation, walls, equipment, fan belts, drinkers, cooling pads, electrical wirings. How are the previous performances? Does it have issues with the security? Do you have a farm manager? There's a lot of stuff to take into consideration before you buy an existing poultry farm. And if you want to invest in a brand new building, then there's even more ground to cover. From the building plans to applying for the loan, the construction, what kind of equipment you'll get, and up to the actual operations. There is a lot of things to talk about here in the industry of poultry, especially in tunnel vent systems, and there's just no online resource to do that. And so that's the mission of my channel. I want to promote the use of tunnel vent as a way to raise your birds, be it broilers, layers, and breeders. I want to flesh it all out for you so it would be a lot easier to get into and be better at doing it. To solve the fly problems, there has been a movement to promote retrofitting existing CCS2 and CCS3 buildings. Here are the three ways they have of doing it. First is with a carbonized rice hull or IPA. It completely solves the problem with flies and the smell because it dries the manure and the charcoal helps mask the smell. No, get rid of the smell. The problem right now is with the disposal. Well, I guess you could sell it as a fertilizer, but otherwise you're gonna have to just bury it. The next method was with a CCS4 building, which is where they install 4 fans to dry the manure directly. This is a very expensive way to do it because basically what they'll do is add a second layer to your existing farm so it will look like a double deck building, but the first level doesn't have any birds. It's just manure. And so you're spending all of that money on constructing a basically a new building on top of it. There's no additional bird capacity. And so it will take more time to recover your investment cost, but in the long run, it is also the safer investment because it's just impossible for the flies to propagate that way. The next method is with the multi-layer cages. This is when they take your existing building and install broiler cages inside it, where they will also install manure removal through conveyors and automated harvesting. And so even with the added cost of those extra equipment, it would still be worth it because you will be effectively increasing your bird capacity from 40,000 to about 65 to 69,000. So it is all worth it too. I will be making a dedicated video about multi-layer cages, and so watch out for that, alright? I'm very sure you like this video. It's so packed with information. And so please subscribe to Tunnel Vent Experts. My name is Jacinto. Maraming salamat.